My name is Weston Stroud. We're running for County Commissioner for Macon District 2. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what matters to me and what I see in the future for Macon going forward.
All right, man. We sitting down with Weston Stroud, man. First and foremost, man, I appreciate you, man, most definitely for sitting down with us, man. Before we get into everything, man, I want to take people through your background. You know what I'm saying? I want people to know, the man behind the method, man. So first and foremost, talk about, growing up in Macon, Georgia, and where about, you're coming from, and where you represent.
Okay. So I'm originally from Atlanta. I moved to Macon. About in 2008, but I went to school here since I was in first grade. And I went to St. Peter Claver. It was one of the first schools that my mom came in contact with, where she found that there was populations and demographics that looked like me, And then it was also opportunity for her to put me in a safe environment because she was a single parent, to a new city that she'd never been to. And so St. Peter Claver was where my stomping grounds are at, in Pleasant Hill. Graduated and then ended up going to Mount DeSales, where I ended up finishing middle school and graduating from high school there. So after school, I would kick it in downtown, playing at the cages, chilling at Washington Park, at Washington Library back when Joshua's Cup was there. It was an awesome opportunity to see so many different types of living style, because coming out of private school, we didn't come in contact with a lot of people from public school unless you put yourself in those situations to meet new people. And so Joshua's Cup, and just like being open to new people and new ways of thinking, that was the first opportunity that I got after school. And so I love the downtown, and that's just kind of what raised me after school. That was after 3 o'clock. It was just figuring out, what's the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So after graduating from school, I ended up going to Syracuse, where I did a dual enrollment with the College of Environmental Science and Forestry, and that's where I studied in environmental policy and urban design. And that's kind of stemmed from being in Boy Scouts. I came up in Boy Scouts from elementary school all the way to attaining my Eagle Scout. Again, my mom was a single parent, and so she wanted to figure out how to teach me how to be a man. And she knew that she didn't know how to be a man, and so she introduced me to Boy Scouts, and that was the opportunity that I learned what it's like to not be prepared and to still have to camp outside that night. Learn how to make a fire, how to survive, and what that looks like, and also the principles and morals that was instilled in me. Those would be with me for life, So a lot of that just kind of comes together to make the man who we have today, Weston Stroud.
Okay, so you being originally from Atlanta, like what were some of the circumstances of your mom making a move down to Macon?
So it was a mix of a few things. So my mom got remarried when I was about 8 years old, and so we lived in McDonough, and so that was in between where my stepfather at the time and my mom, where they worked. She worked with the attorney district office, ADA, and so she was a prosecutor down here in Macon, and eventually it just got to the point where, my mom got a divorce, and so making that long commute from McDonough to Macon, it was just too much for mom and two young kids. So we ended up moving down here in 2008. We got an apartment on North Side, and then we ended up moving off to Zebulon, on Zebulon, about 2008, 2009.
Okay, so you moved to Macon. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, just a little sister.
Little sister. So, talk about, growing up for you, like, what was it like being the older sibling to your younger sister?
I think because there was such this huge gap, um, 8 years. That's a lot of time, especially as a kid, and what you experience. And so a lot of times, I'm in high school or I'm in middle school, and my sister is a young kid, and she wants to stay up just as late as me, or I could do having a go-kart, driving her around. And honestly, having a little sister, it puts perspective on how you see women, right? You never really, I guess it's hard to understand different vantage points until you're put in a position to understand.